is, you know, if somebody has been diagnosed with Alzheimer or any other kind of dementia, but they're still okay, they've still got consent, I do think you should spend some time just organizing the legal things, okay? And basically, you just have to do the following things with a lawyer, obviously. Number one, you need to look into the will of the healthy spouse. We've explained why. Number two, you need to look into an enduring power of attorney for the person that's been diagnosed with Alzheimer. And now that you're at the solicitor, and as you're there anyway, also take a look at your existing will. That's the person with Alzheimer, your existing will, just to make sure that it does that the beneficiaries are still as you want them. And that would be it from me on this gloomy subject. Next time we'll talk about something that's not as that's more a happier subject.
I know, Michael. I mean, it's difficult to discuss all these things because they're not nice things. But when I'm sure you've experimented a situation where you would have loved to help people if they came to you before, and sometimes the frustration situation is when people don't know. And unfortunately, it's too late. So all these webinars, we're trying to prevent problems, and everybody obviously will have to do whatever they consider is best for them. But I think it's very useful situation, and I'm glad, Michael. Sometimes people say, "I'm glad you told us," and things like that. Paul, Michael has here. I don't know if you discussed about fluctuating capacity. But I don't know if you did fluctuating probates at the doctor still.
Yeah, is it okay. The moment that sometimes you are not able to sign a power of attorney, and sometimes you are. We had a case, I mean, a long time ago. I remember that in the north of Spain, and this is connected also with some question that even before about the loss of consent. It says it is determined by a legal or a medical entity. When someone goes to a notary, I mean, at the end, a notary, someone goes to a notary, and a notary check your capability to sign or not, if you understand or not. Obviously, sometimes the checking is very standard, or is very, I would say, simple. But sometimes, obviously, the notary makes you a lot of questions in order to check if you are correctly understand what you're going to sign or not. Obviously, I think it's a subjective criteria, a subjective point of view by a notary. But obviously, if a notary says that you are capable to sign, that's perfect. The fluctuation capacity, obviously, when someone is undiagnosed, in some ways is having the capability or not, to do it is with witness. And if a witness is I remember when we use it, and there are some legal rules in Spain in order to do that when verify and authorize that situation, is that in that specific moment, even though has a diagnosed Alzheimer and in many moments is not capable to understand what he's signing, if medical is also as a witness authorizing at the same time with the notary and with the person who is signing the document, that's perfect to do that way. Obviously, checked by a medical and checked obviously by the notary.
Okay, what I'm going to explain now is not very technical, but it's what actually sort of happens in practice, okay, on many occasions. Sometimes you've got a family that you've known for many years. You know, the kids from the same couple, everything's above board. They all know exactly what they are. And, you know, maybe one of the spouses is just a bit wobbly, you know, that their mind's wandering a little bit. And basically this family just wants to sell their property in Spain and get themselves back to the UK. And they're here with their 2 kids, and they just want to help mum and dad because mum didn't do these precautionary things, as we mentioned before. They just let it pass. And now she's a bit, you know, borderline. So they come in one day to go and sign the power of attorney to the children so they can take care of things. And they come into the office and she's just a bit, you know, she's just not, that day she's not good. So what would we say? We say, go away, come back next week, and let's see if your mum has a good day, okay? And on the good day, she goes into the notary. And in general, when the notaries see that it's sort of, because we're not stupid. We all know, you know, some families, when we've got the kids with them who would be the beneficiaries, they're all together there. You can just tell that there's nothing dodgy going on. The notary will not be as absolutely strict of giving them a 3rd-degree interrogation as they would if it's something a bit more lonely, where the lady goes into the notary on her own to try and sell the property and this, that, and the other. From experience, that's sort of how I see it sometimes. And the fluctuating capacity, maybe that's what it is. We've seen them. Some people have good days and they have bad days. Sometimes they know exactly what they're doing, and then the next day they seem to be a bit lost. But of course, what we're saying here is for cases in which there's not likely going to be anyone damaged by what they're going to do, because otherwise they're going to be sued later on. So this is for cases where everything's happy, it's the family, there's nothing, so if somebody comes in and they're going to sell the asset and there's children from another marriage and things like this, well, there's no way that anyone can help them, because at the end, you know, that sale is going to be maybe subject to a claim because mum was diagnosed a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, or whatever.
Okay, Pedro, we're going to wrap up. Anything else you would like to recommend the audience? I think it's been very interesting, and we could be here hours and hours with different cases, can't we? Would you like to say something else, Pedro?
Just to recommend, obviously, to give advice on whenever this situation is going to start, when you realize that maybe it's starting. Obviously, something very, very, we recommend always to have a preventive power of attorney, and in order to prevent situations that may come in the future. And in some ways that you will not have a capability to do it in one term, so you will have to go to court, and will delay, will be more expensive, and will get more things more complex. So at the beginning, to sign a power of attorney with, obviously what we said, with the capability, and in a notary office, when you understand what you're signing, when you understand when you are writing, when you understand and you decide what you would like to happen with your assets or with you, that's fantastic, that's really good. Obviously, when we enter in a, let's say, a gray area, that you are in a way that you understand sometimes, you are not, sometimes you don't understand, then we enter in a, we need to find really, as Michael explained, the situation where you understand where you're going to sign. Sometimes it doesn't happen. And obviously, when you enter a situation where you do not understand, you will not be subject into the capability to sign a document, then obviously you need to enter in a court a resolution. So what we recommend always is to give apply for an advice in order to do it. It will be a lot cheaper, faster, and easier in the future for everyone.
Michael, anything else?
No, that's a great webinar. Just thank you for doing these things. It's really, I think, really is important. I mean, today I think there's a webinar which is, as I say, when you call me to tell me we can talk about this, well, that's going to be a sort of a, you know, not a nice, it's just not a nice subject. This is a subject that people just don't like talking about, and it is ugly. We've been through it many times before with clients in front of us. You know, you learn as you go. There are certain things that we realize after all these years that you can't say, things you can. It's difficult, but it is very important. And the only objective of this webinar and what we're discussing today is just to avoid people lots of expenses, lots of problems, and in some cases, pretty much horrific situations, okay? And we're thinking about that widow that's trapped in a house in Spain, wants to go back with her kids, and just can't leave because she can't sell the property. That's what we're trying to avoid. That's the only objective of the webinar.
Well, thank you very much, Pedro, Michael. I fully agree. If they could take that, is worth them discussing with their lawyer this specific situation. It is the #1 advice I will tell, because everything is very specific. Two, as Michael and Pedro stated, I think the whole point here, even though it's an ugly subject and difficult one, the good thing here is a matter of helping before it's too late. And the whole point here is